Hello, it's Marika here from Lake House Vlogs and welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new to these parts, welcome and thank you for subscribing, and if you haven't already subscribed, please hit that red button down below. So here on my channel I do lots of homeschool videos, I do family vlog videos and any travel videos if we're lucky enough to go on an adventure. And in today's video I'm going to share with you all of the resources that I use to teach my children about the birds and the bees. So what do I mean when I'm talking about the birds and the bees? I'm talking about where do babies come from? What is sex? What is happening to my body as it's changing? What is love? What is marriage? All of those fun questions that children eventually ask their parents. And for me, this was like a pretty scary subject because I actually didn't know what to do. I was like, oh, I don't want them to ask me those questions. I don't know what to do. And so instead, that's just me personally anyway. So instead of freaking out, I equipped myself and I have managed to find some excellent resources to help me in teaching my children all about these kind of things. Some great advice that I got is that you want to be the very first person that gives this information to your children. You do not want your children finding out all about where babies come from, sex, kissing, and all that kind of stuff from their friends and their peers, because it might not be the correct information and it might not be told to them in the way that you would like it explained to them. So you want to always make sure that you are the first person to teach these things to your children. And so that means we actually need to start early, which can be very, very scary, teaching our children such big and important topics when they're so little and their understanding is really limited. Now my daughter, she actually asked that question of mummy, where do babies come from, at a really, really young age. And I think she was just super confused because our family is a little bit different. We do have 4 children. 2 children are biological and I have 2 children that have come to us through the foster care system. And so they came home as little babies. So I didn't have that whole baby in the belly thing. I just went to the hospital one day and mummy came home with a baby. And at the time I did have friends who were pregnant and we were saying to my little girl that she's got a baby in her belly, they're going to have a baby soon. And so I think she was just super confused. These ladies have babies in their belly, but my mummy just went to the hospital and brought a baby home. And so she was super confused. So at an early age, she did ask me that question, mummy, where do babies come from? And luckily, I was already prepared and I'd already purchased the resources and I had the book on the shelf and I was able, as soon as she asked me that question, I was able to pluck the picture book off the shelf and read it to her. And it wasn't scary, it wasn't crazy, it was really, really great. And so I'm so thankful that I already had the resources all prepared and ready to go when that question actually dropped. So the books that I am using to teach this very important subject to my children is this. These are the God's Design for Sex series and they are excellent. They are broken up into the ages because obviously we want these books to be age appropriate for our children. And so the first one here is book 1, which is ages 3 to 5, and then we have 5 to 8. The tricky teenage years, we have 8 to 11, and then we have 11 to 14. And we have started these books with our children and they are excellent. So I'm going to jump in and give you a flip through, a closer look at these books. Okay, so let's take a closer look. This series of book is called the God's Design for Sex series, and there are 4 books in the series, and they are all broken down into age ranges. So book 1 is for 3 to 5-year-olds, book 2 is for ages 5 to 8, book 3 is for ages 8 to 11, and then the last one 11 to 14. So they are designed to go in order, and I would recommend starting them in order. Even if your child is older than 3 to 5 years of age, I would still start at the very beginning and work your way through the books. Which is what we are doing with our children, because my older son started a little bit later than this age, but we still started at the beginning and then are going through the books. So let's take a closer look. This is the first one, which is called The Story of Me. which is for ages 3 to 5. I got my books, I think, from bookdepository.com, and I will link them down below so that you can have a look for yourself. So it starts off, and at the beginning there is a section for parents for you to have a reading. Just gives you some tips on all the different books and how to approach this subject with your children. And so this book is great. As it is for 3 to 5 year olds, it is told as a story. And this book is talking about where do babies come from. And so they tell it in a really beautiful way. They do also use correct terminology as well. We do use the correct terminology. We don't want to confuse children with different names for our body parts, and so I do recommend talking about the proper terminology. And look, this is just beautiful. It gives them a, it's hard to understand what's going on, but they've got a beautiful picture there of a mum with a baby in her belly. And on the inside, and just talks about God's plan for men and women and families growing and having children. And it's actually quite a beautiful story. Let's give you a quick flip through. Just talking about how God made our bodies so that women can have babies. It does talk about feeding babies as well, breastfeeding. It talks about our private parts, what makes us a boy, what makes us a girl, and it is really, really great. So super lovely, and just told in a really gentle way that it's really easy for children to understand. So that is the very first book in the series, The Story of Me. The next book in the series is called Before I Was Born. This is book 2 for ages 5 to 8. And again, set out in the same way, has a section at the beginning for the parents. And I'll just show you this book 2. Before I Was Born emphasizes the creational goodness of our bodies, our existence as men and women, and our sexual organs. This book introduces new topics as well, including the growth and change as boys and girls become men and women, and a tactful but direct explanation of sexual intercourse between a husband and a wife. And so again, that's like, oh, how do we teach this subject? And it is doing this in a really great way, has really great pictures, and tells it as a story. This has been really helpful for me teaching my children. Okay, goes on. So that is book number 2. So this early stuff with children is usually, the easier bit, but as they get older, it just gets trickier. And so this is why I'm thankful for the next 2 books in the series. So this is book 3, which is ages 8 to 11, What's the Big Deal? Why God Cares About Sex. And then after that is book 4, which is ages 11 to 14. Facing the Facts, the Truth About Sex and You. And so I'm super thankful for these books. And so let's start with this one, What is the Big Deal? Obviously this is for older children, so we have lost the pictures. Let's just show you the contents page. And it is still a story format. But this is for older children, so they kind of lost those storybook kind of feel, but still told in a great way for kids to understand. So this is the back of the book, and you can just pause that if you want and have a good read at what it is going through. But the dot points here is, why God made adults so that they want to have sex, why God designed sex to be shared only within a marriage, what God actually says in the Bible about it, amazing changes ahead of you during puberty. That's what I really wanted it for as well. And so this is going to be excellent. I have not started this book with my son yet, even though he does fall into the ages. My husband is just starting that with him now. So he is going to do the boys as they get older, and I will do my daughter. So they're starting to go through this now. And then after that, it'll be on to this one. It is for ages 11 to 14. Again, that same kind of set out now that it's older. And I'll show you the contents page if you wanted to have a look. This is great. Love and dating, all that kind of stuff. And here is the back of the book if you wanted to pause the video and you can read that for yourself. And so we definitely haven't got onto this one yet. We are just beginning this one with my older son. But so far, so good. We are really, really enjoying these books. They set everything out so beautifully and really easy to use and really easy for the kids to understand as well. Two other books that I also use that I feel are really, really important are these ones. And again, I will link them down below for you. This book is called I Said No, a kid-to-kid guide to keeping private parts private. So this is excellent. This is talking about our private parts and why they are private and how to keep your children safe, how they can keep themselves safe, and what to do if something has happened to them. And so it's really, really good. It's give you a flip through, and it's this little boy is actually telling the story and telling him what to do if you feel that you are in a dangerous situation or a situation that's making you feel yucky. And we go through red flag people and green flag people. So green flag are our safe people. They're the people that we can go to and if we need help or we need to talk about something. And so this is really, really great. I do recommend this book, and you do need to start this at a very, very early age with your children. And so that is an excellent one. And then I also have this one, which is called Good Pictures, Bad Pictures, Porn Proofing Today's Young Kids. And they're the authors there. And this book is sharing with children what they need to do when they see something that they shouldn't be looking at and that makes them feel a bit icky. And it is really, really great. We're going to be starting this soon with my son. And so obviously our children are not in our care all the time. And this day and age where there are phones, computers and access to information, we need to equip our children on what they do if they get into a situation that they feel that is not right. And so this is just walking them through what to do when they come across something that they know they shouldn't be looking at and how to deal with that. So that's another really, really great book. So there you have it. There are all the books that we are using here in the Lake House. I hope you found that video helpful, and I do highly recommend these books. These are excellent. So get your hands on a copy of those. And I will link all of these resources in the description box down below so that you can go and have a look at them for yourselves. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.